I said I wanted to review a puzzle game. And I just had to review Myst. Why couldn't I review Tetris? That's a puzzle game. And it doesn't take an eternity to finish. Myst. Oh goodness. Let me explain my history with this game. It was one of the first games I ever played, and I don't know how I got it, but I know where I got it. Blockbuster. And I paid $7 for it. I got this game when I was 5, and I hated it. I didn't know where to go, so I stopped. And if I ever played it for an extended period of time, I just goofed around and pressed every button and switch I could find. But I finally finished it 2 weeks ago. So is this game good?
No.
Sid. Let's explain the history of this game. Work on Myst began in 1991. The game's creative team consisted of the brothers Rand and Robin Miller. Myst was conceived by the brothers as a challenging but aesthetically simple game that would appeal to adults. According to Rand Miller, the brothers spent months solely designing the look and puzzles of the ages, which were influenced by earlier whimsical worlds made for children.
According to the creators, the book The Mysterious Island by Jules Verne inspired the game's name, as well as the overall solitary and mysterious atmosphere of the island.
The game's instruction manual explains that an unnamed person known as the Stranger,
Who is unnamed,
stumbles across an unusual book titled Myst. The Stranger reads the book and discovers a detailed description of an island world called Myst.
so the book is quick to start name-dropping apparently.
Placing his hand on the last page,
Spoiling the book.
the Stranger is whisked away to the world described and is left with no choice but to explore the island. And if I try to describe this story any further, all of you, including myself
And me.
are going to get bored. If you like deep and complex stories, fantastic.
But if you like to stay awake during a game, you won't like this story. Though I will admit, it is pretty unique.
The gameplay of Myst consists of a first-person journey through an interactive world. The player moves the character by clicking on locations shown in the main display. The scene then crossfades into another frame, and the player can continue to explore.
This is where I have a problem with this game. The movements are too slow, which makes it hard to be immersed into the story. It's one of those click a screen, check your phone games. Sort of like Zelda's Adventure on the CDI.
It was actually released on the CDI!
Oh gosh, imagine those load times!
However, to assist in rapidly crossing areas already explored, Myst has an optional zip feature. When a lightning bolt cursor appears, players can click and skip several frames to another location.
While this provides a rapid movement of travel, it can also cause players to miss important items and clues.
Other than moving around the map, the main thing about Myst is the puzzle solving. To complete the game, the player must explore the seemingly deserted island of Myst. There the player discovers and follows clues to be transported via linking books to several ages, each of which is a self-contained mini-world. Each of the ages requires the user to solve a series of logical, interrelated puzzles to complete its exploration. Objects and information discovered in one age may be required to solve puzzles in another age, or to complete the game's primary puzzle on Myst. For example, in order to activate a switch, players must first open a safe and use the matches found within to start a boiler.
This is where you'll either love Myst or despise Myst. The puzzles, like you said, aren't as simple as go here, press that button, the door opens, huzzah. Similar to those old Sierra and LucasArts games, you have to think very hard and sometimes even think outside of the box in order to get something completed. And I like that aspect. It adds a level of depth to it, and it really is like asking the player, how good are your problem-solving skills?
Don't expect to complete this game in a couple hours, unless you're using a walkthrough.
You cheater!
You will have to invest some time into Myst. My first playthrough, I finished in around 12 hours.
12 hours? Are you serious?
Sid, how long did it take you?
26.
Now, the presentation of this game, the graphics, well, they look like a book, which somewhat works because you're in a book, but the details are very detailed for a PS1 game, and you do get a feeling of this large island full of mystery.
Don't expect a Skyrim of a soundtrack. A majority of it is birds and wind. There are songs in the game, mostly in specific areas and during major moments of the game. But they're quiet, which fits in well and it doesn't overshadow the gameplay. The creator of Myst originally didn't want music and wanted to just have the ambience. But he decided to add it in, and I think it was a good decision. So the music is good.
And the graphics are decent, but there's just one thing that ruins it for the both of us. The transition times. What might seem like a 5-minute walk will quickly turn into a 10-minute walk due to the load times.
Yeah.
And some transitions are faster than others, especially if you're using the zip feature, but again, that can cause you to miss important things.
It gets really bad when you're solving a puzzle and you have to wait at least 10 seconds between each click, just drawing them out. And of course, you aren't going to know what to do right away, so a majority of the time you think you're getting somewhere, when really you aren't even ready to solve that particular puzzle. This would actually be a decent game if it wasn't for the atrocious waiting. There's only really one cheat code in this game, and it's called a walkthrough. But seriously, if you're gonna use a walkthrough to speed through this game, you might as well not even play it.
So, for a majority of this review, we've been bashing this game. But, here's the thing. It was quite ambitious for the time to have a game this big and this complex on a home console like the PS1. Other than the PlayStation 1, it was released on the Sega Saturn, the CDI, the 3DO, the Atari Jaguar, and the Amiga OS. And from what we've said, you might think we hate this game. Well, I was originally going to say that until I decided to play the original PC version. In it, you still click to go places, but the load times are much quicker, and it's easier to get immersed, and you do have a lot of fun. You aren't wasting time, and I actually completed it in 8 hours. Now there is another version called Real Myst, which features free-roaming, real-time 3D graphics instead of pre-rendered stills. Weather effects like thunderstorms, sunsets, and sunrises were added to the ages. It's available on Steam, and it's very cheap. I finished it in 6 hours. I highly recommend either PC version. It's been nearly 20 years since Myst first came out. It went on to have several sequels, several novels, and even an online game.
It was even referenced in an episode of The Simpsons. Myst has also been used in schools as a teaching tool and as a way of studying the effects of video games and aggression. A parody game called Pissed, was made, which featured John Goodman.
It's hard to determine an audience for a game like this. If you really want to challenge your brain, play Myst. Finding a game that requires this much deep thinking nowadays, it isn't easy.
No.
But play the PC versions. Avoid the PS1 version, and there's a version available for the DS and the 3DS. Avoid those too. I am happy that after nearly 13 years I finally finished this game, but I was even happier when I discovered the PC version and just how good it is. If you played this game as a kid and got frustrated, play it again. You might like it. Who knows? You might learn something. I'm Joshua Gillespie.
And I'm Sid.
And thank you for watching.
Yeah.